Hey guys, what's up? Today I'm going to be showing you how to install the i3 window manager in Arch Linux. If you didn't see my last video on how to install Arch Linux, make sure to check that video out first, because you can't do anything here without installing Arch first. So pause this video and watch that one and install the base system and then come back to this. For those of you who already installed Arch either using my video or using the online guide, let's continue. The first thing you're going to be greeted by is this login screen. After you restart into your newly installed base system, you're going to log in with the username and the password that you set during the installation. And now the first thing you do after that is going to be running IP-Link, just to get your network interface name, which, again, like I said in the previous video, depends on what interface type you have, whether it's wireless or wired, or wired / Ethernet. So, in most cases, your Ethernet interface will have the name ENP0S3, and in most cases, for wireless network interfaces, the name will be WLAN0. In some rare cases, it will be WLO1. So, to ensure that interface is up and running, we're going to run sudo IP-Link set, and then the name of your networking interface. In my case, it's ENP0S3, since I am using an Ethernet connection. And then you're going to follow that with up. And now that your interface is up, if you have an Ethernet connection, you can just run sudo dhcpcd. But if you have a wireless connection, there's one extra step you need to do, and that's running iwctl -- passphrase, your network password, station, your wireless interface name. I'm just going to go ahead and type interface name here. Station. Oops, my bad. After the interface name, put connect. And then your Wi-Fi ESSID, or simply put it, your network name. Obviously, I'm not putting in my credentials for very obvious reasons. So after you run that command, you're going to run sudo dhcpcd. In my case, it looks like I've already run it, but let me just do this to show you what it looks like when you first run dhcpcd after a startup. This is what you'll see. Now, the text on the left depends whether you have an Ethernet connection, an Ethernet interface, or a wireless interface. Most machines will have both, and some machines might only have one of the two. In most cases, the machines that only have one interface, it's always going to be Wi-Fi. But anyways, after running dhcpcd, you're going to, I'm just going to clear the screen here, you're going to run ping google.com just to ensure that you have an active internet connection. You can Control-C out of that at any time. You don't have to let it run, because it'll run forever if you don't stop it. And now we're going to install the following packages using sudo pacman-s. Gonna install every package from the i3 group. Then the next thing you're going to want is xorg, and then xorg-xnet, and then a file manager of your choice. This can be Ranger, PCMan-FM, MC, NoUtilis, whatever you want, whichever file manager you want, put it there. In my case, I'll just grab PCMan-FM, and then a terminal emulator of your choice. In my case, Terminator. but you can choose GNOME Terminal, Xterm, I think Alacrity is also there in the default repositories, and then there's a couple more that I'm forgetting about that I heard of but never used. But anyways, but we're not going to be installing any window compositors or wallpaper programs. We'll get into that after we set up the main environment itself. So you're going to hit enter here. Oops, my bad. Pac-Man. One operation. What the hell are you talking about? Oh, Jesus Christ, hold on. I don't know what the hell happened here. That shouldn't have happened. Alright, there we go. This is what you'll see. Just press enter a couple of times. And what is going on here? Why is it not scaling the window properly? Hold on. I'm trying to resize the window accordingly, but it doesn't like me today. So here we go. And just wait for this to complete. Depending on hardware and network speed, this may take a minute. And if you get any errors pertaining to mirrors being unreachable, just wait. Don't cancel the operation, because then you'll have broken dependencies and whatnot, and that's not what you want. Plus, you'll be downloading the same packages twice, which, if you are limited on storage, is probably not the best thing to have going on there. Though I'll show you how to clear out the Pac-Man cache once we're done with the whole setup thing, because I will be showing you how to configure i3 after we get the environment up. So from here, you're going to type vim/etc. Nope, my bad. Still used to the installation process. vim.exinit.rc. You're gonna hit I to go into insert mode. Then you're gonna, the only line you need to add is exact space i3. Then you can just hit escape and then :WQ to get out of there. Next and last file we're gonna have to edit. Well, not the last, but the last file for this part of the setup we're gonna have to edit is the bash profile. We have to add 2 lines, one empty line and then one line that just has start X on it. Again, you're gonna press I for insert. Actually, my bad. I should mention that there's 2 ways to get into insert mode in Vim. You can either use the I key, or you can use O to add a new line and go into insert mode. But once you have this, you can do it either way with I then enter twice. But I just did it with O and then enter. You can do it however you want. Then, hold on, :WQ. Then you're just going to press Control D to log out. And you're going to log back in. As I get my password wrong, I swear to God, I don't know how I always get my freaking password wrong. I have the same password every time. Now, you may notice that I'm having a bit of a resolution problem. If you had the same resolution problem, you can fix that with xrandr, getting not only your display name, but also the supported modes. In my case, I'm going to be setting it to 1280 by 1200. 1280 by 800. So to do that, you would run xrandr -- output. Then your display name, in my case, it's virtual1. As I spell virtual wrong, I cannot type today. -- mode 1280 by 800, or whatever mode you want to go with. In my case, I just want to go with 1280 by 800 just because it looks nicer. Come on, OBS, stop overriding things. And here we go. Now, let me just make sure it properly does that. We're just going to close out of this error dialog here because we're going to get into that in a second. The one package I forgot to mention you should install is some sort of menu system, whether it's dmenu or Rofi. In this case, I'm going to install Rofi. That's because it's a lot easier to get everything set up with Rofi than it is with the menu. So anyways, after that, you're going to type vim.config/i3/config. This will bring you into the i3 configuration file. First thing I always do is I change the font size from anywhere between 14 to 18. I usually always do 16, but in this case I'll do 18. If you still can't see 18, then you can bump it up to 20 or 22. But any larger than that, it's just unnecessary. We're not going to be messing with this part of the file here, at least not yet. This is where we would put the commands for the compositor and the wallpaper program to run at startup. But the first thing, and the only two things we're going to really do in the file right now, is replace this line that's under start D menu comment. You're only going to erase up to the word exec. You're going to leave a space. Then you're going to type rofi-show run-theme and then arc dark. If you don't like that theme, I'll show you how you can find other themes. But as for right now, this is what I'm just going to stick with. And before you save and quit, we're just going to delete this line. You can either hold delete or just go to the end of the line and hold backspace. Oops. Right, now you're going to save and quit out of that. To reload i3, you're going to press Mod Shift R. Depending on which mod key you set at the beginning, you would either have left alt as mod or super as mod. Now the super key varies on, well, depending on which brand of computer you have. If you have a Mac, it would be the command key. A PC, it would be the Windows key. And if you're using Linux on a Chromebook, it would be the search key. Now, before I get on with the rest of the configuration, I want to mention a few important shortcuts you should know. The first shortcut is how to pop a terminal open. That would be with super enter. To close a window, you would use super shift Q. Obviously, I already showed you guys the restart i3 command. Well, restart i3 shortcut. That would be mod shift and R. To pop the menu system open, that would be mod and D, or super and D as I should say. That'll bring this up. But for now, we're just going to pop a terminal open, and we're going to type the following command: sudo vim/etc/i3status.conf. And from here, if you want to leave all this the same, you can, but in my case, I'm just going to I'm going to delete most of this, since most of it's just useless information to me. Mostly just the disk, the battery, the load, and memory, as well as the wireless and IPv6 commands here. Not really going to be useful for me, since I don't have IPv6 on this machine, or since I'm using a VM, there's no battery installed, and there's no reason to have the memory monitored, since, again, VM, and there's not really much memory assigned to the VM. And this wireless interface is meaningless, since I configured my VM to only use Ethernet. Now, the only thing I would change here is the date and time format. For the time format, I always put %R. For the date, I always put it as %m/%d /%Y. Again, you don't have to make all those edits that I just made the config file. You could just edit the date and time format, or you could just edit it the way you want to edit it. You don't have to follow exactly what I'm doing in this part. Then you're gonna reload i3 with mod, shift, and R, and you should see your status bar changes would have been applied. And obviously this time is wrong, so I have to run an extra command, which is going to be time date ctl set ntp true. I would recommend doing this. Hold on. There we go. Okay, now for this part, I'm gonna get into window compositors and wallpapers. The window compositor I always use is called PyCom. You would install that by typing sudo pacman-s pycom. And then for the wallpaper program, I always use Nitrogen. And if you're installing a wallpaper program, install the GNOME backgrounds package as well. So you have a set of wallpapers. And then I'll get into, creating custom keybinds and stuff like that after I do this part. Now, we're going to mod shift Q out of the terminal. We're not going to need it right now. You're going to press super D to pop the menu open. Then you're going to type nitrogen, press enter. You'll be greeted by a blank screen and a window that's titled nitrogen. You're going to click preferences, add. Then you're going to go ahead, click file system, and navigate over to /user/share backgrounds GNOME. And then you're going to click select, OK. Choose the wallpaper you want. I like this wallpaper, so this is the one I'm going to choose. I would recommend changing the scaling option from automatic to scaled, since automatic looks terrible half the time, and scaled just generally looks better. If you want, can I stop clicking out of the VM? There's other scaling options like centered, which centers the image on the screen, tiled, which tiles the image to fill the screen. Then you have zoomed, which zooms it in, which zooms into the image, and then zoomed fill, which you can put two and two together. It's just filling the screen with the image while zooming in. But I always choose scaled, and then you're going to click apply. Then you should have a wallpaper here. Now we're going to pop another terminal open. You're going to pop a terminal open again. That's going to be super enter. Oops, there we go. One thing I like about Terminator, I'm just going to say this right now, is vertical and horizontal splits, but you won't need to use those really, well, at least just yet. I'll show you all the special features of Terminator in a minute once I get the configuration done. From here you're going to type vim.config/i3/config. Go back into the config file. Remember that section I said to ignore before? The one right that talks about executing the network manager applet? You're going to insert 2 lines into that section. The first line you're going to insert is going to be exec nitrogen -- restore. The second line you're going to put below that is going to be exec pycom. Then you're going to save and quit out of that. If you're using Vim, make sure when you're in insert mode, which you would get into insert mode by pressing I, you press escape when you're done editing, and then :WQ. And then from here, we'll close the terminal with mod shift Q, and then we'll exit i3 with Mod, Shift, and E. And then I'm just going to Control D to log out. Then I'm going to log back in. You don't have to do this, but this is just to show that I didn't set up the compositor properly. And I should probably mention the shortcut to make a window float, because in this VM everything looks god awful. Hold on, what the hell is going on here? To change the window layout, you would use Mod, Shift, and Space. And it's still looking god awful. Come on, can I stop clicking out of the VM for once? Come on. Hold on. Hold on. It's being a bit of a pain in the ass right now, so please bear with me here. It's not really being the most. It doesn't like to make things easy for me, so let me just readjust my screen resolution here. 768. There we go. I'm just going to adjust my screen resolution again so I can show you what this would normally look like if it stops being a little pain in the ass and decides to actually work the way it should. I'm gonna just drag this down here so you can see the whole thing. There we go. So the first thing I always do is configure my terminal. I always keep it maximized. I enable putty style paste. Just gonna do all this configuration here. If you want, you can skip past this. It's not really necessary to do all of this right now, but I'm just gonna do it right now to get it out of the way. Okay, bear with me for a second. And then I'm gonna, oh great, hold on. I have to redo the wallpaper. I gotta rescale the thing since I changed my resolution. It's, oh great, my compositor isn't working, so I gotta figure out why the hell my compositor doesn't work. Hold on. Normally the window would be transparent, but since my VM does not like me, we're going to have to figure out why it's being an ass, which is my favorite part of the video, just trying to fix something that shouldn't have broke in the first place. Okay, for whatever reason, transparency won't work in the VM. It's not the window manager that's the problem. It's something to do with the VM. I gotta figure that out, but yeah, that's the basic configuration for i3. Now on to the more advanced configuration, you know, setting custom key bindings and all of that sort of stuff there. I'm just going to install a random web browser. I'm going to install Chromium because reasons. You can, from here you can install whatever browser you want. I just install Chromium because it's my favorite browser to use. Just gotta wait for it to finish installing. It may take a little bit, but just be patient. Bear with me here. Let's just say my VM does not want to make things easy for me today. It wants to make things very, very unnecessarily difficult. So, excuse me. Now, to create your own custom keybinds, you're going to go back into the i3 config file with the following command: vim.config/i3/config. And then down here where all the keyboard shortcuts are, here's what you're going to do. You could add a keyboard shortcut here. This is where I usually start adding my keyboard shortcuts. I put a comment, then I type launch and whatever the program name is. In my case, this would be launch Chromium. To create your own custom keybind, what you would do is type the following: bind sim, that's BINDSYM, space, $mod plus B, or whatever other keys you want to go into the shortcut. It could be mod shift whatever, mod control whatever, or mod whatever key. And then after the shortcut, you're going to type exec space and then the name of the browser or whatever application it is you want to launch. In this case, I'll just do a :W and I'll restart i3 and I'll go to workspace number 2. Oh wait, and that's one thing I forgot to mention. You can switch workspaces with super or whatever mod key you set and the number keys at the top of the keyboard. Now, if I do mod B, it'll launch Chromium. You can do this over and over again for whatever programs you want. If you really desire that, if you really want to, you can even have certain terminal applications launch with a keyboard shortcut. In this case, I'm installing HTOP just to demonstrate this part here. Launch HTOP. Again, the key bindings may vary. Not really may vary. You can set whatever key binds you want. These are just the ones that I use. Oh, and make sure if you're planning to use a keyboard shortcut to launch a terminal application, you type after exec, you type the name of your terminal -E, and then in quotes you put the command. In my case, this is going to be HTOP. Then I'm going to show you that it doesn't like me today, and that I possibly fucked up. Hold on, let me see. There we go. Here we go. And see, that works. So that's pretty much it for the video. And hold on, Vim's being a bit of a pain in the ass now. Now, again, to exit i3, you would use mod shift E, and then you click yes, exit i3. Then I'm just gonna shut down using the shutdown now command. And now the video is over. See you guys in the next one.